Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's CJ Investing here, and today I'll be discussing the stocks that I want to own and why, and the stocks that I don't want to own and why, and at its current prices. So I'm gonna just basically go into it and explain to you why. So before I get into it, I need y'all to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in your algorithm. And let's get right into it. So I hope everybody's doing good out there, and I'm doing pretty good. So for the first stock, I want to go with, since it's on the tip of my mind, tip of my tongue, I'm gonna go with Snap-on, ticker symbol SNA. So that stock is down a lot. I think it's in like the low or the mid to high 260 range as of this recording. And I've seen it drop a lot within the past couple of months. And it's in the tool space. If you want a dividend, it's a great dividend payer. It's been paying for a long time, I believe. I don't know the exact history on that, for how long it's been paying. But double-digit dividend growth all around the board, awesome balance sheet. All of these companies I'm gonna be listening to today, they have awesome balance sheets. So very little debt, and you know, very low price to earnings, price to book value. You know, just a great all-around company. And like I said before, it's in the tool space. You know, the tool kits that you see at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, etc. And yeah, it's just a great company, and I would buy it at current prices. But right now, as you know, I've been dollar cost averaging down into Starbucks. It's been on a free fall, so I've been buying that mainly. My next stock, I'm gonna go with Cintas, ticker symbol CTAS. I think that's a ticker symbol. And it's basically the uniform company. They make like uniforms. You'll see the Cintas truck driving around, the white truck driving around the city near you. You know, I see them all the time when I'm working. But it's a great company. Very high return on invested capital. That's very important. Even higher than Snap-on. Snap-on is pretty good as well, but Cintas is out of this world. If you want to get a great return on your money, and they're constantly buying back shares and stuff like that, look for Cintas. And would I buy it at current prices? I wouldn't. It's way too expensive. I wouldn't at all. I do have it near the top of my watch list though, because you know I like to keep an eye on it on my favorite stocks, along with Snap-on. So moving on to the next one, Nike, ticker symbol NKE. A lot of people's favorites. A lot of first time when people get in the market, a lot of beginners, they go for Nike or they go for Coca-Cola or Realty Income, you know, one of those popular stocks. But Nike is a solid brand. Like I said before, it's not going nowhere. I own a pair of Nike, I'm sure a lot of y'all do. And it's kind of like my gym / running shoe. Pretty comfortable. I do, however, as I get older, I start to care less about the brand. Into more shoes like Asics, New Balance. Even some of the older people, they'll wear like Skechers and stuff like that, even though they're pretty expensive. I'm not really into them. But Nike, man, this came down a lot. I can't remember the last time I seen Nike in the 70s. It's pretty insane. Like, even in the 90s, people in the Discord, including myself, I thought it was a decent deal because I'm not used to it trading at those levels. So it trading right now in the 70s is basically 2020, March 2020 pandemic lows. So if you looking to own Nike, the time is now to buy. You know, it's been hit very hard, beat down very much so. and good dividend growth, high return on invested capital. I think it was like 30 or 40%. I like the company. I'm not crazy about the company. Its growth going forward it's not super high, not as high as I would like. I want to say that, and I'm just looking for a little bit more growth. I'm looking for more essential companies. I've really been into more tech companies, but at current prices, I would probably buy Nike at current prices, to be honest with you, if I didn't have all of these other stocks that was on my radar to come up next. So speaking of next, my next stock pick would be Paycom, ticker symbol PAYC. It's in the payroll space, a great company, under 10 billion in market cap, very small cap company, so it'll be easier for it to grow its revenue, its free cash flow, stuff like that, in terms of doubling and tripling over the coming years. Not saying it'll do that, but it's easier for it to do that. And even easier when it has no bet on its balance sheet. So that's something I also look for and I hold to very high in my critique. So yeah, very high growth company, tech company. They have an app that allows for the employees as well as the employers to check and approve time off going forward, and to check in and different stuff like that. I've never used the app, but I've heard about it and I've seen the logo before. So an awesome stock. All of these stocks pay dividends, small dividends. I'm not as big on dividends as I used to be, but I do like to receive something when I'm holding a stock, be rewarded with something while I'm holding. So yeah, they pay a small dividend, and it's fairly new dividend payer. So plenty of room for growth going forward, and just a great overall company. Moving to the next one, we're going to go with Starbucks, ticker symbol SBUX, and this is a company that I own in my portfolio, so it's obvious that I'm a buy. Just a great coffee chain, you know, the number one in the coffee space, high growth, decent margins, decent return, well actually high return on invested capital, and I just really like it. Close to double-digit dividend growth. They're doing a good job at that. I really like hearing their founder talk, Howard Schultz, if I'm saying that right. Watching interviews, videos of him just talk about the company and how it started and everything is very interesting. So it's actually my number one position now, thanks to me dollar cost averaging. But great overall company. If y'all want it, this came down even more. It's down in the 70s. Just a great overall company. The time to buy is now for Starbucks, if you want to own it. Or some more companies that I would like to buy or that I wouldn't buy would be, so I want to own Home Depot. Y'all all know Home Depot is a great company. However, it's kind of the middle of this 52-week range. I'm not really looking to buy it. I think it's too expensive. It's trading at a 22 PE ratio. Pretty big company. Y'all know Home Depot, and a really nice dividend yield. So it's a really, really good dividend grower if y'all looking for dividends, double-digit dividend rates. As you can see, some news on Home Depot, and it's the competitor of Lowe's, but Home Depot is a much better investment option. But I'm not buying it at current prices, so I'm gonna pass on that. I'm not buying Lowe's either. Same, slightly cheaper. It's trading at a 17. I think Lowe's is kind of undervalued, underrated stock.
but still, I'm not buying that either. Moving on, as you can see, the semiconductor space, I'm not touching any of those at current prices for the reasons that you may know it. They're too expensive. Wait for it to come down. I had Qualcomm, ticker symbol QCOM, in my portfolio, but I sold it at near its all-time highs at around, I think it was around like 215 or something like that. I about doubled my money, so I did pretty good. But all of these are great companies with awesome margins. Many of the tech companies are known for having amazing profit margins, usually low debt companies, very little expenses, all that good. That's that for the semiconductor space. I'm not buying Amazon. As you know, I look for my companies to pay a dividend, and I've never really been big on Amazon, even though I obviously use it, not often, for ordering different things, mainly my wife. But Walmart, I'm not too big on that company as far as investing. I also think it's too expensive to buy right now, so I'm gonna pass on that one. Lockheed Martin, this is one I really want to own at some point, but also really expensive. Not gonna buy right now. Awesome dividend. It pays a lot out. This is one of those crazy dividend payers. 2%, 2.7% percentage or yield, and it's obviously they get big contracts with the government. They get big grants all the time. They make a lot of the missiles and the military defense equipment, and it's just an awesome company, but too expensive right now. BlackRock, I want to own at some point, also too expensive. You're going to notice a reoccurring theme at the companies near the bottom or close to the bottom of a watch list that I like less, that they're more expensive companies, and the cheaper companies are near the top. Like, for example, I'm not saying none of the credit cards are cheap. I just like them a whole lot. And in particular, I own Visa. Is one of my biggest positions. And they just, overall, they're like the perfect companies, especially Visa and MasterCard. So I give a lot of grace to these type of companies. If, say, they were to have a little bit of debt on the balance sheet, which they don't really have debt like that, but I give grace to these companies opposed to some of the other companies, maybe in the fast food space or something like that. But Visa, I am buying in the 260 range. I bought in the 270 range, so that's an obvious given. Price to earnings ratio over 30. A very small dividend, but very low debt. Let's look at Visa really quick. Very low debt. And they buy a lot of their shares back. As you can see, that number is decreasing their share count. Balance sheet. Total assets of 90 billion, total liabilities of 51 billion, meaning they have more assets than liabilities. Also what you want to see. And some of the most free cash flow in the industry, in the stock market. Well, excluding like the big $1 trillion companies like Microsoft, Apple. But for its size, it has a crazy amount of free cash flow. And it's growing. As you can see, it's dividends, 3 billion, 2 billion. And they're paying back their debt as well. So, essentially the perfect company. And And Sprouts Farmers Market, I don't know if I did this one yet, but it doesn't pay a dividend. But I first saw it mentioned on Everything Money YouTube channel, and I had to check it out, and it's kind of expensive right now. I'm not really looking to buy it, but it's near the top of my watch list because I'm very interested in it, and it has some pretty good metrics, growing earnings. It's profitable, obviously. I'm not investing in any companies that aren't profitable. The only thing is the share count is like up and down, so that's something to keep your eye on. Depending on if it's expensive or cheap. They have more assets than liabilities, $3 billion in assets, $2 billion in liabilities, so that's fine right there. And it's a very small company, so they don't have a lot of free cash flow, but they have more than enough to cover their dividend, and not their dividend. They have more than enough to cover their debt repayments and their common stock repurchases, as you can see there. Actually looks like they probably use like some cash on hand to pay either some of those stock repurchases or to pay off some of the debt. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we have some of the FANG stocks. Google, I'm the closest to buying Google, but it's too expensive right now, so I have to pass on Google. I know a lot of people buy these type of companies at all-time highs, market cap of over $2 trillion, very small dividend. As you know, Google and Meta just started paying a dividend early this year. And if you know me, I've been wanting Google to pay for a very long time, since I got in the stock market in like 2020. So I've been wanting it to pay a dividend since then. You know, I believe that it had the free cash flow, had the extra cash on its balance sheet. And Google, y'all know Google. They have the Google search engine and YouTube, the top 2 search engines in the world. And one of the prettiest balance sheets in the stock market, along with Meta, T. Rowe Price. So they obviously have more assets than liabilities. 402 billion assets, 119 liabilities. So more than enough to cover their liabilities. Cash flow, free cash flow going up, 42, 67, 60, 69. So they pay very small amounts out in dividends, so nothing to really worry about there either. So pass on Google for now, but I will own it at some point. Meta, same thing. Pass on it. Google and Meta trade at similar valuations as far as its price to earnings ratios. They're very similar in terms of their valuations, so this obviously a pass as well. But I believe in the metaverse. You know, they have Facebook, Instagram, the WhatsApp. They seem to be really popular in other countries and stuff like that. But they are decreasing their share count by buying back their shares. Total assets 229, total liabilities 76, more than enough, which is awesome. And go to free cash flow. They have less than Google, but way more than most companies in the stock market, as they might be a little bit less than $1 trillion in market cap, or a little bit less than $2 trillion. Yeah, 1.29 trillion. So they're one of the smallest out of the FANG $1 trillion companies. Apple, Microsoft, y'all know those companies. Microsoft is one of the perfect stocks. that I consider the golden standard. I feel like everybody, this is kind of like everybody's go-to stock, because it's an overall beast, dividends. But it is one of the biggest companies in the stock market, 3.42 trillion, trading at a price to earnings ratio of 40. So it's really, really expensive for me right now. And I'm not buying companies at all-time highs when I could get companies closer to their 52-week lows, or that are cheaper as far as their price to earnings or price to book than they normally trade at historically. So when I first started investing, I would buy stuff at all-time highs, but I try to be a little bit wiser as I've been in the market a few years now, and I've been watching different people and chatting on Discord and stuff like that, and I start to understand a little bit more. But I just want to thank y'all for watching. If you watched this far, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I hope y'all have an awesome rest of y'all day. Happy 4th of July. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.